Welcome. My name is Rev Trev, and I'm the creator of Kempner Sports, and I'm loving this fantasy football series that we're doing called The Show, and that's why we call it The Show, because it's the greatest thing. I love fantasy football. I love playing it, and I know you do too, and that's why you clicked on this video. So today we want to get into draft strategies regarding the quarterback, and I've done a ton of work on this, so I think you're going to find this video so helpful, insightful, and this is going to help you be competitive in your league and possibly win a championship. What? Drafting a quarterback can win you a championship? Yes, it can, and let me explain to you why. Because if you select that right quarterback at that right draft position, you can also already booster the rest of your roster in such a way that you can build a championship team by the way you draft your quarterback. So where do you draft a quarterback? What round do you draft a quarterback? Well, all depends because I've done as early as 2nd and 3rd all the way down to 12th, and I've done everywhere in between 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, wherever, and I've done those kind of drafts over the years, and I'll tell you some of the results I've seen. So really it comes down to who you drafted. You got to get it right. You got to make sure that you draft. And a lot of quarterbacks, they say, oh, they're all the same. They're not all the same. There are the elite quarterbacks, the tier 1, which doesn't mean the ones that everyone else right now is saying. There's a consensus right now of what people are saying are the top quarterbacks. That's not how it's going to turn out at the end of the year. I'm telling you, last year's consensus is totally different than this. So, it's who you drafted and where you drafted them. So let me just explain to you. So last year, I know that Mahomes was going number 1. Did you know that he ended up as the number 4 quarterback? Now I know injuries and different things play into this, but it's just how it is. The number 1 quarterback was not MVP Rodgers. It was Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. Nobody saw that coming. If you had Josh Allen in those later rounds, 5, 6, 7, 8, wherever he was going, man, you probably ended up winning your league. I've talked to other friends who had Josh Allen end up winning their league. So it went Allen, Rodgers, Murray, Mahomes was 4, Watson, who you do not want to draft. He's not playing this year. He's in big trouble with the law. Then it went Wilson, who had an incredible start and a terrible finish. Ended up finishing 6th, and then Tannehill without Julio finished 7. Brady was 8. And Herbert was 9, and number 10 was Lamar Jackson. And I'm telling you, there's guys on this list right now that they're going to be going in the top 4, 5, 6 rounds, and others that are going in the 9th, 10th that you can get. Anyways, there's some steals there. 11 was Cousins, 12 was Matt Ryan, Carr was 13, Big Ben was 14. Stafford, who was on a terrible Lions team, was 15. And then people talk about Mayfield and love him, but he was 17th. And the reason why I say this is because really the 3 elite quarterbacks were Allen, Rodgers, and Murray between 395 and 378 points. Then it drops off to, actually Mahomes only drops off by 4, but then going down to Wilson, who's 6, is 359, and then Tannehill, 343. Anyways, this is long. I'll show you this right here. Brady, Herbert, and Lamar Jackson, 8, 9, and 10 were only 5 points apart. 5 points apart. And it didn't matter who you drafted there. It's if you had Stafford in instead of those guys where you would lose weeks. And so, so 1 year, I remember listening to Fantasy Focus podcast by ESPN. Matthew Berry predicted Michael Vick to be the number 1 overall pick. Not the number 1 overall quarterback, the number 1 overall pick over running backs, wide receivers. He was like, this is the year. And you know what? He said because of his rushing, because of his throwing, you should be drafting him. Everyone thought he was nuts. And he was living by this theory. And he was dead wrong because Michael Vick was terrible. And not terrible, but not worthy of that. He was right if he would have picked the right quarterback that year. I believe it was Rodgers that year. But when you have like Tom Brady, who threw 50 touchdowns in a season, did Peyton Manning end up doing that too? I think he did. When you have them as your quarterback, I'm sorry, it doesn't really matter how else you drafted. You win your leagues because they score so many touchdowns. But in 2019, Jameis Winston, who was Tampa Bay's starting quarterback, had 33 touchdowns. That's not bad. But he had 30 INTs. So when you're throwing 30 picks, you're not. Sorry, it's -2 in a standard scoring league. You're not going to win leagues. So the reason why I'm wearing my Kansas City hat with my football shirt is because I want to talk about Mahomes. Mahomes is consensus number 1 fantasy quarterback on every rankings. Now, is he going to finish number 1? We don't know. The reason why he's number 1 is not because he's going to finish number 1, which he might, but it's because he's elite and he's probably the safest. He's elite. He is elite. He can run, he can throw, he can do things that no one else can do. But like Josh Allen last year had more. Anyways, so that is where most people, every draft I go into, Mahomes is always the first guy taken off. There's been the odd time I've seen Allen. So the most controversial pick, though, is my MVP boy, Aaron Rodgers, who was MVP and still didn't come out as the number 1 quarterback of last year. So he's going everywhere from basically 4. I've seen him mostly in 6, 7, 8, 9 ranges, and sometimes even later than that. And so if you pick Rodgers later, and he has a good season, but last year was MVP. The year before, you don't want to look at those stats because he wasn't very good. And so he's a very controversial player, and it depends on how you view him. Does the disgruntledness, the stress, I think that makes a difference, but does it make a difference that you don't draft him high enough that you wait and someone else is going to take him, right? Maybe that big swing player that we don't know might be these 2 players as Jalen Hurts, because he could be boom or bust, and Stafford might be that same thing. Everyone thinks he's going to be great because he's in LA, but maybe he's not. Maybe he's not as good as everyone says. One thing I just want to quickly do before we get into the 2 mock drafts I did was, when it comes to projections, be careful with the projections, because in the projections, they don't always match the rankings. So you're saying this guy is number 3 and this guy's number 4, but you hit the projections, the highest projecting totals, and they flip. And all of a sudden the 4th guy is the 3rd, because I don't know why they do that. They don't rank them according to their projections. So be careful about your site's projections. They're not always great. Okay. So 4 quarterbacks are predicted to get over 400 this year. And I was thinking, why are they doing 400? Because it's a 17-game season, not a 16-game season. So that's just a thing to report. So there probably will be 4 or 5 quarterbacks that get over 400 points this season. Okay, so I did 2, one in ESPN and one in Yahoo mock drafts, and I just wanted to show you where people are going and where my strategy is. I just wanted to wait on quarterback to see. I didn't want to be the first guy to pick a quarterback. So in the ESPN one, we'll start with that first. I was drafting number 6 overall. The first quarterback that was taken was Patrick Mahomes in the 4th round. Kyle Murray went in the 5th round. Allen went in the 6th round, first pick in the 6th. And then Lamar Jackson went in the 7th round, 2nd pick. And on the board, I had an option to pick Rodgers, Wilson, or Herbert. And I selected not to do that. I went running back there or wide receiver. And then in that 8th round went Herbert, Rodgers, Wilson, the 3 guys I was looking at that spot. And then I had Brady, Tannehill, Stafford, or Burrows. And I thought, okay, if that's my pick, I'm just waiting. Because those guys to me are very similar. So round 10 goes Brady, 11 was Hurts, another in 11 as well as Tannehill, and round 12 you got Matt Stafford. So if none of those quarterbacks you want are there, you can even wait. There's other quarterbacks that I don't mention here. So if you look at it, like, I missed out because I didn't go. I should have picked up in 6 or 7. Getting Allen there would have been safe. That would have been better for my team. Or if I would have waited for that Herbert, Rodgers, Wilson spot, that might have been good as well. So let's just I want to show you just for a moment what ESPN's rankings are. This is their top quarterbacks, and this is what they say. So you need to understand what they're saying about those positions, because that is where you're going to be drafting. People just follow the rankings. They don't do the research. They don't take the time. And this is what they do: is they just say, oh, well, he's ranked the highest, so I'm going to take him next. So you got to be careful. If there's a guy you want and you know he's ranked higher, you might have to take him a round or two earlier to get the guy you want. Okay, let's move quickly to Yahoo, as this video is getting a little bit lengthy, but I think this is going to be super interesting because now this is a totally new site, and I had the 10th pick in this, and it went in the 4th round again, Patrick Mahomes, okay? Elite, safest pick. In the 5th round, 2nd pick went Josh Allen. Then it went Lamar Jackson, because it's a different ranking system on Yahoo. So in round 6, Murray went, and then also Wilson went. And then round 7, it was crazy. Round 7 was still available: Dak, Herbert, and Rodgers. And so it literally went that way. Dak went in round 7, pick 6. The 7th pick was Herbert, and the 8th pick was Rodgers. And then Hurts jumped up to round 8 because of different scoring. And then in round 9, my options were Brady, Tannehill, Stafford, Burrows, just like the other list. And I ended up taking Brady in the 10th round, and I took Stafford in the 12th round. And so in both of those leagues, in ESPN and in Yahoo, I got Tannehill and Stafford and Brady. But I don't know if I'm going to wait that long in those things. I'm wondering what you're going to do. What have you found to be successful? What are you going to do this year? When the quarterbacks, you got to be kind of proactive in that quarterback. I know none of us want to take quarterbacks, and everyone says they're the same, but they're not. And so here are the rankings for Yahoo. As you can see, they are totally different than ESPN's. I mean, some of them are the same. There's a little bit of a consensus around the league of kind of where people are falling. But why don't you do your own research and figure out where you're going to draft a guy? If you think you think Stafford is going to be top 5, wait. If you think Burrows is going to light it up and have an incredible year, wait, because Burrows is going to be there later on. There's other quarterbacks like Kirk Cousins, people that we haven't really talked about there. Big Ben, you might think, has a big year. Maybe you think Tannehill is going to be awesome this year. These are kind of things that you need to think about, you need to be a part of. So anyways, long video, but this quarterback strategy is important, and I want you to win your championship. Thank you so much for watching. Before we end this, I'll remind you this. We're doing a subscribers league. If you want to be in the subscribers league, post in the comments. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel and post in the comments, I'm interested. I'd love to have you in there. I'm going to be in it. Some of our guests are going to be in it, and it's going to be a great league. So just want to remind you that. Also, please like, comment, subscribe. Love the support. Have a great day.